Creating any demand disruption for the auto major, says Uber's chief advisor David Plouffe. In this exclusive conversation with Shereen, he also explains how Uber signing an MOU with the Labour Ministry will result in organised employment.
Uber is really about cutting down on personal car consumption in that sense, and this perhaps is giving auto car makers or automakers nightmares. In fact, Anand Mahindra, who heads Mahindra & Mahindra here in India, has said that one of the challenges that he foresees in the future is from companies like Uber, because you're going to come down and cut down personal car consumption. How do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, for instance, here in India, we're thrilled to have a partnership with Tata. Very important partnership. We have a good relationship with car manufacturers. So I think, first of all, listen, this isn't going to happen overnight. All these ride-sharing drivers need cars. By the way, one of the great things about our platform and others like it is a lot of the drivers default to more fuel-efficient vehicles. So you're replacing less fuel-efficient vehicles that are only used by one person and putting 18, 20, 24 people in a more fuel-efficient vehicle that cuts down on emissions.
Innovation is clearly far ahead of regulation at this point in time, and it's not just in India, but pretty much anywhere in the world. Is it important then to work with the government to try and get them on board? You've just signed an agreement with the Indian government, with the Labour Ministry, to sort of create micro-entrepreneurs. You're not the only one. I believe there's a bunch of other companies as well that are doing that. But is this going to be important for companies like Uber to engage with the government, to support the government, in order for them to actually get to buy into what you're hoping to do?
We have MOUs throughout the country with government. I'd say that we may have the closest ties here in India than anywhere around the world, because I think the government here has seen we've got a lot of people looking for work, whether they're unemployed. This is a great way to get them earning money, the dignity of work really quickly.
Talking about price and value, so I can't help but ask you about valuation. What is it, $65, $68 billion at this point in time? And you know, there's always shock and awe when you talk about valuations. Of course, Uber is the most valued startup at this point in time, and people are sort of amazed. But what do you make of this valuation game? I mean, there's criticism that, you know, private valuations are fake at this point in time.
I mean, we're just trying to run a good business. You know, we've got a lot of expansion plans here in India and China. I mean, I do think, you know, our business, though, is not speculative. It's not based on, you know, transactions that may happen down the road. Obviously, every ride is a transaction. And we're running a very, very sound business. We're obviously still in a growth phase in a lot of places around the world, including here in India. The same thing in China. Something like Uber Pool might seem easy. It's not. It's incredibly expensive and complicated, the engineering and product talent we have to apply to that. So it's allowed us to invest in Uber Pool, in making the mapping and the core product offering better, and then to really compete in places where we have strong competition, like India and China, in as vigorous a way as we can.
So the reason for the surprise is that, you know, these guys don't make anything, they don't own anything, and yet they're more valued than Ford, than GM, than Lockheed Martin, than P&G, for instance. How do you explain that? How do you respond to that?
I mean, what I think people see is we have the model succeeding. The model works everywhere. Everywhere. Cape Town, Cairo, Nairobi. In some parts of the world, we're starting to deliver food on demand, so you can get a sandwich or a salad in 5 minutes. We're delivering goods. So there's a lot you could potentially do with this platform.
So does it make sense then to go public anytime soon?
Listen, I think our CEO gets asked this almost every time he does an interview, and what he says is, don't hold your breath.
Says the Uber Global